Welcome to the Social Millennial Podcast. We out here, gang. Y'all know what it is. Made it through another week. Delta variant is out here. I'm, enjoying life. I hope that y'all are. I hope that y'all are enjoying life. As a mentor of mine says, I can't complain. I'm out here breathing, just trying to make the best of the circumstances that we're all in, that the whole world is in. I hope that y'all have been safe. I hope that y'all have been sound. I hope that y'all loved ones are safe. Thank you for spending this time with me, whatever little bit of time that you end up spending here, whether it's, 2 seconds, scroll past, move on to something else, or, however long that we go for this episode as I'm recording it. I don't really have a timer or anything that's set up here. For those just coming to us, or even for y'all returning, as a reminder, we are on YouTube. For those listening, you can hit us up, the Social Millennial Podcast. You should be able to find us, search us, if you want to enjoy the visual content. My beautiful face, you feel me? And all the expressions and all the talking with the hands and all the what have you that entails. For those who are new, and as a reminder to everybody else, you can find us on social media at Social Millennial Pod. That's at Social Millennial Pod with one N, on Facebook, Instagram. We're not on Twitter. You can email us at thesocialmillennialpodcast@gmail.com. And please leave a comment where applicable. Let us know what y'all think about the topics that we're talking about today. Let us know how y'all feel about the podcast. Let us know if y'all want us to talk about certain subjects, go into certain things, give some pieces of wisdom. Who knows? It might develop into a new segment of the show. But we want to hear from y'all. I mean, we're here for y'all. We're here as a kickback, just to chill, just talking about a few things going down. It's definitely not an all-comprehensive news channel here, news source here, but we're just chilling. I'm out here in NYC. Making it do what it do. You feel me? So leave a comment where applicable. Please review the podcast, review the episodes. Let us know what y'all think. Let other people know what y'all think. Definitely share it. So I'm gonna hit all of this up top, and then we're gonna get into it. Once again, for those who are new and for those who have been here, another reminder: we got merch, y'all. We have merch. Now, this isn't the end all be all of the merch. This is just, a little something I wanted to keep here for y'all. Hopefully that's facing correctly. For those who can see on the YouTube video, on the YouTube channel, we've got everything right now. So phone cases, hoodies, art, like wall art. We've got certain different kinds of cups, travel mugs. What else have I not said? Masks. Definitely head over. The link is going to be in the description of the podcast, the description of the on the YouTube video, where applicable. Sorry for those of you who've been keeping up on Apple. If you guys are served your podcasts, enjoy consuming your podcast through the Apple platform, it's kind of tough. They're the sort of the character limitations that they give me for the descriptions. So for some of the episodes, there may not be links in the description, but definitely head over to our social medias, follow, like, everything will be there, links will be there. Head over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the little notification bell so that y'all can get notified when these videos are up. We're usually up Fridays at 7 a.m. So for those of y'all who are fortunate enough to have a job, fortunate enough to be working, to be, to enjoy the cash flow, as a lot of us are not, you can enjoy it with your morning cup of coffee on your commute. And for those who aren't, y'all can enjoy it when y'all get up in the morning. It should be there when y'all rise. For my early risers, you'll be a little bit early. But yes, please sound off. Let us know what y'all think about the podcast. Sound off on everything that we're talking about here. I will definitely kick these topics off to y'all periodically throughout the podcast. I think there was something else, a little bit of order of business before we get into it. There was something else. YouTube merch. I think that's all. YouTube merch. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like. Oh, y'all, we're not on Patreon. I'm not on GoFundMe. I'm not dropping a Cash App yet in the description where y'all could support us. So please understand. Your likes, your comments, they go a long way. Your reviews, your star reviews. I mean, even if they're not 5 stars, it goes a long way to keeping this channel going, to keeping this this outlet going, to keeping this entertainment going, to keeping us flowing. Now we've got the merch drop there. Follow the links, enjoy that. If y'all want to purchase and support, purchase and support. If y'all want to show your support by just shouting us out, hashtag social millennial pod. That hashtag is out there. Hashtag social millennial pod. If you start typing it in, you should see it. You can add us, definitely, at social millennial pod. Just so many different ways to show your support for what's going on here. And definitely email us questions. Email us comments. I might read your comment on the show. It might be pretty cool. But yeah, so let's get into it, y'all. Super sad news real quick. At least sad for me. I don't know about y'all, but UFC 265, the co-main event, our beloved Amanda Nunes came down with COVID. At least that's what the official story is. Came down with COVID, and the fight is off. It was, for those who are not up to speed, UFC 265 is this week, Saturday, August 7th at 10 p.m. And I was super hype for Amanda Nunes v. Juliana Pena. They've had some beef. There have been some talking back and forth. Juliana Pena is the overwhelming underdog. Nunes is just like, I'm going to sweep her up. Nunes is super great to watch. If y'all have not watched, if y'all are not into mixed martial arts, definitely hit YouTube. There's a lot of free fights. Watching Amanda Nunes fight is wild. She is considered, for those who don't know, she is right now being considered and being talked about as one of the GOATs to ever do it. So hit that up, but I'm super saddened. And, Nunes took it in stride, quote, it happens, stuff happens. I'm paraphrasing. She used some colorful language, but stuff happens. She caught COVID. She's got to be off. But, her and her team, they're like, whenever I'm good and cleared, we're going to fight. We're going to run it. So get well soon. Amanda Nunes, wherever you might be. I can't wait for that fight. I just really want to see it. I'm super excited. And more UFC stuff, just to get that out of the way off the top. Conor McGregor, for those who don't know, those who are not in the know, broke his leg fighting Dustin Poirier, their third fight, if I'm not mistaken. He lost the fight, broke it at the end of the first round. Poirier got that win by TKO, by doctor stoppage. Broke his leg in a weird place too, like right at the bottom of his leg, like where his leg meets his ankle. So it wasn't even like all the way up on the shin, like breaking that in half. We've seen that happen with Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman in the ring. Just their leg just flops down there, their shin. This was like all the way down to the bottom of the joint. And Dana White's got word that he doesn't expect Conor to be back for another year. He's giving Conor a whole year. The doctors say, this is according to Marca.com, the doctors are saying that it's going to be 9 months before he can start training again. And Dana's like, well, he's not even thinking about it. He's quoted, quote, as far as I'm concerned, Conor is out for a year. Quote, he further commented, the doctor said it will be 9 months before he starts training again. We're looking at it as a year. I'm not even thinking about it. So Conor's gone off the roster, afterthought, and great. I'm not saying good riddance. I'm saying, dude, get it together, because these past fights, Conor's been on some other level. I mean, these past few fights, ever since he lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the GOATs, he took all this time off, went through all these legal troubles. It's just been wild for Conor. And he's rich. He's wealthy. Some people handle it different ways. Or not some people, but people in general handle wealth in different ways, especially coming into a lot of money in short periods of time. So he's been through controversy, in and out of courts, all kinds of things, and definitely drummed up controversy on this past fight with Dustin Poirier, talking about his wife is in my DMs. It's like a whole thing. Everybody was like, this wasn't called for. Even Dana was like, that was uncalled for. We shouldn't be talking like that. Shouldn't be talking about killing people's families and things. Conor was talking crazy. in my opinion. It went well beyond selling a fight, because Conor was known back in the day for being boisterous and the big personality and the heel, as we would say in wrestling, playing the heel. And he was good at that, getting people to hate him. So either you loved him because he was cool and was great and you wanted to be him, or you liked his fighting and the bravado and the personality, or you hated him. But either way, you were watching him. Either way, it was PR. Either way, it translated into pay-per-view buys. But this time around, he went a little bit too far. And I say, great, Conor, get it together. Take the year. Recenter yourself. Figure out whether you actually want to keep fighting or not, because he doesn't have to. He's wealthy enough that he does not have to continue this fight. If his heart's not in it, because clearly something's not in it. Because Conor's been on some other level. He's just not himself. So hopefully he gets it together. Khabib Nurmagomedov's management made a comment about Conor and that he's on drugs and he needs to go to rehab. I don't know what the credence to that is, but just get well soon, Conor. For better or for worse, whether I liked you or liked you as a fighter or loved you as a dude, I don't really know you. Get well. That was a gnarly leg break. They should have it on YouTube, I would think. The fight wasn't very long, so y'all could check that out. Once again, links are going to be in the description of everything that we talk about. So links in the description of Dana's comments on this, the cancellation of the co-main event at UFC 265. Who's taking the place for that co-main event? Let me see here. It's Jose Aldo. Okay. Jose Aldo and Pedro Munoz. I want to say Munoz, but there's no tilde there, and they usually keep the tilde. Munoz is an interesting, I'm just not used to it. But okay, Jose Aldo, 29-7. One of the dudes that have been around for a minute, seasoned veteran. I hope he does well. He's been bumped up to the co-main event for the bantamweight. I mean, not for the bantamweight, but just at the bantamweight weight class. And main event will be heavyweight. Derek Lewis, Cyril Gane for the interim heavyweight title, which I think was a little bit weird. But we're not going to talk about that on this episode. So moving on. Let me know what y'all think about Juliana Pena and Nunes. Who do y'all think is going to win in that fight? My take is Nunes is just going to mollywop her. She might try to wrestle her, but Nunes is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. We haven't even seen her really go hard with her jiu-jitsu in the UFC. We kind of saw her on the ground against Miesha Tate, choked her out, if I'm not mistaken. Did you choke her out? I think she did. Yeah, we've seen it there, but not really her high-level jiu-jitsu. So I 100% think that Amanda Nunes is going to mollywop her. Y'all let me know. Sound off. And about this Conor thing, do y'all really think Conor should even be coming back? I think he still has 1 or 2 fights still left on his contract and might just exhaust those with Dustin Poirier and call it a day, cut a deal. But what do y'all think? Do y'all think he should come back? I don't think he should. I think he should just retire. I mean, I know he's got a standing contract with 2 fights on it, but he's Dana White's golden boy, so he should be able to work it out with them. But let me know what y'all think. All right, so moving on. COVID, namely the aspect of COVID that involves evictions and rents. Y'all. So the moratorium ended late last week, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. And yeah. So we're in dire straits, kind of, sort of. Here in NYC, you've got reportedly or estimated it's like $1 billion or something like that NYC has been sitting on of renters' funds that are allocated as rental assistance, and they're not being properly allocated. So we have that problem that we kind of don't know what the heck is the state government doing. Has not been allocated. And then we've got, which is part of the $1 trillion, the bailout plans and things. We've got that sitting in the wings, not knowing what the heck. And the moratorium ended. Now you've got all these landlords, these owners of these buildings, who this is how they make money. Not all of them are have another job. This is their thing. They're real estate. They own these buildings. They maintain these buildings, so on and so forth. This is their job, and they're not getting rent. So that's an issue. And, some of us might be of the ilk that's like, oh, well, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. These guys who make, whatever, $1 million in rents in the building or whatever, $500,000 every month because they rent to the building. Boo-hoo for them. They don't have it bad. I mean, it's tough. I've worked in a real estate office before, off-market real estate office, and I've seen the numbers that these buildings generate, and I've seen the bills. A lot of people don't think about that. A lot of people think, oh, these guys own huge packages of real estate, a one company or through a shell corporation, an owner, a wealthy individual might own an entire city block, might own 5, 6, 7 buildings, might own a large enough package could include 20, 30 buildings scattered across the city. High rises, it could be combinations of things. But a lot of people don't get, and I think there are individuals of that ilk who are like, oh, well, they'll just have to deal. We're just going to think about the everyman and just tune out everything else with blinders on. People don't get it. If you own a house, right, you've got to pay property taxes. You've got to pay electricity. You've got to pay water. I mean, depending on whether it's an oil boiler, gas boiler, electric, you got to pay for oil. If you're doing natural gas, you got to pay for natural gas. All the other incidentals. If you've got security cameras, those are going to add to your electric bill. If you've got lawn maintenance, let's say you've got a nice lawn and you're working, you can't be bothered with taking care of it, you hire out a company. That's money. That's another bill. You've got mortgage. That's another bill. So imagine all of those things times to the 5th, 6th, 7th power. So imagine you've got a building worth 10 million, and it's got to bring in millions. It's got to bring in millions. Why? Because your heating in the winter is going to be like that. It's going to be up there, 500,000, depending on the size of the building. A month. Electricity, a month. So imagine you're paying your electricity for your house that you live in. Now you've got to pay, or you've got to deal with large scale heating, large scale stuff, especially when it's like included in the rent. You've got to pay for all of that. You foot the bill for all of that as the landlord, as the owner of the building. So a lot of these guys are in dire straits right now, declaring bankruptcy. Maybe they got to sell their properties, sell their things. Like, yeah, they're at a different place in society, right? You've got all your different, middle class and so on. These are individuals. Not all. I can't speak for anyone. So let me say that first and foremost. I am speaking in generalities, but you've got people who worked hard to get to where they are, to develop these buildings. You've got people who inherited the buildings and had to continue a legacy and not run that legacy into the ground. And now we've got COVID, we've got the renters, the rent the eviction moratorium. And it's an unfortunate circumstance, of course. I mean, I support the moratorium. When we were locked down, no one was really working. Not many were working, I should say that, because there were some jobs that were very easy to just, relatively, it's never really easy when you're not ready, which I don't think anybody was ready for COVID, that you could flip over and just do at home or turn it into something mobile. There are other jobs that you can't. Other jobs where people just lost their job. It's just, listen, we can't afford to have you on. We can't afford to pay you salary. We have to close down the shop. We have to close down the company. We have to close down. A lot of that happened. People didn't have money. So now, at least I can speak for NYC. They're like, get up, get out, start working. There are jobs everywhere. Target's trying to get people to pull up. Walmart's trying to get people to pull up with certain incentives. And here we are. We're not in lockdown. Delta variant's running around. We're over 70% vaccinated. I think in the U.S., if I'm not mistaken, we're over 70%. NYC by now is over 70% vaccinated. The jobs are there. People are not running back to work. Makes sense to me. There's a lot of fear that was spread around because of COVID. Some of it that made sense, some of it that didn't. I'll leave that for another episode to do a deep dive on my take on that. But some of it, rightfully so, some of it not. And here we are now, where everyone's erring on the side of caution, at least when it comes to going to work, having to do with people, having to do with coworkers, sitting with other people for long amounts of time. And so there are still a lot of people who are not working still. And moratorium, I don't believe that the moratorium should happen. There is definitely an ilk right now in the media, journalists, politicians, that this moratorium isn't really for the best interest of everybody. Like, it doesn't really help everybody. So the moratoriums were done, and then they got temporarily brought back again. So this past Tuesday, Biden talked about it, CDC talked about it, and issued that a continuance of on the moratorium, the eviction moratorium. I really think, though, not that I really think it makes sense to be against the moratorium. I don't think I would vilify anyone who would be against it. Especially given that there are still billions and billions and billions of dollars in unallocated funds that are sitting to go to rental assistance. People collected unemployment, extra unemployment, for a longer period of time than is usual, and rightfully so. So where's that money? Why aren't you paying rent? Some people can't survive on the, you can't really survive on the unemployment. Some people can't. It's not a large enough amount. Others were getting paid more money on unemployment than at their job that they're unemployed from. So it's like, at some point, the buck has to stop being passed. And something just has to get done about it. You pay the rent, you don't pay the rent, you figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Apply for the rentals, eviction, rental assistance, and work that out until you can get onto your feet. So that each part of the economy the gears can turn. Like I'm picturing like the locomotive, the train, the old school trains, where it's like the wheels are connected and it's like you want it to start chugging so that we can get things moving. This is a large part of the economy that's where money's not moving. People have lost jobs. People need to get jobs again. A huge transitioning happening, and it's not gonna begin to transition or begin the movement that needs to happen without this sort of the safety net of, okay, we're just not gonna evict you at all. We're just gonna halt all of the eviction processes. Don't halt the eviction processes. Help the people. Do things to help the people. So if people need the money in their pocket to be able to pay the rent, do that. And that's what was supposed to have been being done, but it is not. And so I wonder what's going on with that. I wonder what is going on with the funds not finding their way to the people. They're just sitting there. It's not that anyone's saying that someone, like corruption, some kind of corruption accusation or anything, where someone's taking the money and spending it somewhere else. It's just sitting there. Nothing's being done with it as far as we can tell. Then on a side note, if I want to talk on the political, I really do think that Biden and CDC continuing the moratorium on evictions, I really do think that it's a way to try to affect the polls. It's a way to try to affect Biden's appearance in the polls, because right now the Biden administration is not looking good. Any way that you slice it, the Biden administration is not looking good. Biden administration is making more and more enemies on both sides of the aisle. month by month, more and more enemies on both sides of the aisle. And yeah, you can't please everybody, of course. But it's too many crises going on at once, and just too much or rampant lack of administration, like lack of doing anything about it. Well, sounds NYC, y'all. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but 5-0 is out here. 5-0 is out here, gang. But as the sirens fade, maybe not. Okay, so yeah, there's too many crises happening at the same time that appear to not be being dealt with properly. A lot of contradiction going on where we want to follow COVID guidelines, but then on the border we don't. We're not stopping COVID from coming in from Mexico. And that's not me dehumanizing the individuals that are trying to cross the border for a better life. No. Part of that is vetting and making sure that, of course, the system's bloated and it needs to be overhauled. But the idea is, we've got people crossing over that some of them are looking for a better life. Others who are in the midst of those people who are coming in smuggling drugs, weapons, human trafficking, abusing women and children, sexually abusing them, gang member reinforcements coming from our southern border. That's happening. And then on top of that, add to that COVID-19. So not only are we underprepared for the amount of people who are trying to cross over. Thank you. And yes, I will attribute it to Biden. Thank you, Biden. Why? Because when interviewed, they say it themselves. Mexicans, Nicaraguans, Hondurans that are coming over because they're coming from Central America through Mexico. They've said it. They've said it. Interviews, they've said it. How do you feel? Oh, well, the only reason why we came here is because Biden said that for people to come. We felt like Biden was not going to turn us away. So I do blame Biden. Well, just people might want to be, Marcus, what is this? Some kind of right leaning or whatever. No. Let's call a spade. Those things were said. If we want to call a spade with the insurrection, let's call a spade with this. They were very clear, very, very blatant. And when those stories broke, boots on the ground interviews with people coming to the border from the quote unquote horse's mouth, the Biden administration banned the press from going to the border and from covering stories at the border. So you've got stuff like that going on. So many crises that don't seem to be being managed. And if they're being managed, they're being managed entirely improperly. What needs to be done is not being done. So now because of that, you've got Texas, COVID is running rampant, not because they stopped doing their masking or they relaxed some of their stuff, because they're still masking there just at specific points in specific places and so on. But because they're hauling in asylum seekers, illegal immigrants, so on and so forth, they're hauling them into Texas. The Biden administration pulled, you remember defund the police? Pulled away ICE's capabilities bureaucratically. ICE's capabilities to execute their mandate. Pulled funding, pulled Border Patrol personnel. So there's less there instead of more. So you got people hopping the border in droves. You got people being processed, being brought into Texas. You got people, according to the Texas governor, being not processed, trucked in, no masks, no nothing, and just being let go into Texas. So you've got crises on top of crises on top of crises on top of crises that don't seem to be being managed the way that they should be in order to stop them. Instead, Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think. It's starting to super look like somebody wants this to keep going. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to really go in detail on the theory yet. We'll save that for another episode. But just to dip my toe into my own theories and my own take, fam, it seems like somebody wants this to keep going. In that it becomes more severe because COVID-19 is real. People have died from COVID-19. All the information's there in the CDC, the numbers, who it affects more, the percentage, the likelihood of when you're stricken with this illness, with a disease, if you catch it, the likelihood that you are to die, the age groups that are more likely to be very heavily negatively affected. It's all there. Like, I'm not going to start going into, oh, well, people shouldn't really be afraid of it because, if you're healthy and you have a healthy immune system, you're not going to. All the numbers are there. Y'all have heard it by now. Y'all can go right to the CDC. They published everything. It's all there. So y'all don't need to attack me or anything. Y'all can go to the CDC and attack them because they got the numbers. But I'm saying that we could have a handle on things a little bit more. Like, it could be more manageable at our southern border, and bringing COVID in, tracking COVID in, so much more manageable than what is happening now, that it's wild. I mean, you've got crime in Texas and in the border states. Crime is skyrocketing at an unprecedented rate. Now, most of the media is not going to cover this, but it's there. The crime statistics are there. All you got to do is look it up. You got to just Google it. It's there. So it's really, I see the continuance of this eviction moratorium and not the reliance or the leaning on the funds that are already allocated for renters assistance, so people don't get evicted. The not leaning on that, I see it as the administration needs to try to look good. So let's kind of let's give y'all a bone. Let's make y'all feel like we're helping you while the castle burns behind us. It's a shame. It's a shame. Now, I'm not the president. I don't have those responsibilities. I'm not part of the administration. So I'm armchair quarterbacking right now, as we all are, because we're all living this. We're all having to deal directly with the consequences. Pelosi's not getting evicted. She's not in danger. This doesn't hit her. This doesn't touch her. Biden, this doesn't touch him. Cuomo, this doesn't touch him. Politicians, left, right. I named a few that came off the top of my head, but left, right, they're not, this isn't hurting them. You know what I'm saying? They still got their jobs. They're still wealthy. They still own their businesses. They're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. But we're feeling it. We're feeling it. It's us, the everyman, trying to enjoy the short time that we have on this earth. So yeah, I think it's really not cool. There has to be a point where there has to be a point of responsibility. Point of listen, you can't make it. We've got support for you. The support will last up to a certain point. When that point's reached, if you still can't pay your rent, then that's just what that is. You know what I'm saying? It's a personal responsibility thing. Yes, COVID is a hurdle. There are plenty of businesses that are open now, plenty of companies that are open now, that you can jump into. Yeah. But the moratorium is continuing, the eviction moratorium. So those who are in danger, or feel like they're still in danger, y'all are going to be taken care of. And Mr. Softy is passing by. I actually feel like I want a milkshake today. Let's see what is next on the docket. Let me know what y'all think. What do y'all think about these moratoriums? We're all in rough positions to varying extents. We're in rough positions. The landlords, that puts them in a rough position. It's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be a thing. But let me know what y'all think. What do y'all think about this extension to the moratorium? Do you think it should be here? Do you think it should keep going indefinitely? Do you think we should kind of okay, we're kind of adults now. We need this. We need to be responsible for ourselves, and just kind of There's assistance. There's ways to make the rent that people just need to do. Sound off. Let me know. So let's see. What am I? Oh, now to some. Yeah. No. I'm not gonna get there yet. I'm super happy. I'm gonna get to the happy stuff later. We've got one more before. So Cuomo, hey. Remember we had an episode called Cuomo-sexual? Everybody was, oh my gosh, in love with Cuomo. Cuomo-sexual, coined by the late night hosts. You feel me? Like people talking about Cuomo-sexual because, oh my gosh, he led everything so great. He led everything. Then all of no one's mainstream media is deciding to not talk about the scandal with the nursing homes and lawsuits that are happening. They're just not. But Cuomo's investigation into sexual harassment, it has been going on. Attorney General has sounded off. And my dude, my guy, they found all the evidence, quote unquote, according to what's being said. It seems like everybody and their mother is calling for Cuomo to resign. Everybody and their mama's mama, their cousins, their uncles, their tios, their tias, abuela. They're all like, yeah, I think you should hang it up, my guy. Hang it up, my dude. Biden, Pelosi, of course, the deputy mayor. She wants to hit that glow up, that come up. But interestingly, and I'll link it down in the description, the breakdown of the story. Interestingly enough, Cuomo is not going down without a fight. Not at all, which is wild to me. I mean, if he believes that he's innocent and so on and so forth, there are certain pictures out there that look kind of questionable, my guy. And it's wild because AG was like, for years, this isn't like a new thing. They looked into the records, looked into things, looked into evidence, just dug and sifted and found years of this. Years of complaints that were never followed through on. Like formal complaints of harassment. So yeah, we're going to see. Because Cuomo, at this point in his statement, he's like, listen, this is what this is. I am innocent. I'm not this. I've not been harassing people. It's been grossly overblown. It's not what you think it is. It's not. Basically, it's not. It doesn't. It looks like. It doesn't look like what you think it is, kind of thing, or it looks like what you don't. Whatever that is, but we're gonna see how this shakes out because it doesn't seem like Cuomo's resigning at all. The president said, "Yeah, my guy should resign." We'll see what the New York State government does, what the legislature does, if they're gonna impeach him. But he seems to be like, "Yo, this ain't it. We're gonna fight this." So, what do y'all think about this? What do y'all think about Cuomo? What do y'all think about this? It was real slick how he worked it out with the nursing homes. Like the nursing homes wouldn't take back the elderly who could possibly be COVID positive from the hospital, because it opens them up. It makes sense. Opens them up. It makes them liable for lawsuits. And Cuomo was like, nah, we're good. Real under the table. Real mafioso like. We're good. You know, I got you. We're gonna put something in there to protect you so that you can't be sued. This can't come back to you. So we brought for those who don't know, brought the possibly infected elderly from the hospitals back into the nursing homes, and the nursing home deaths skyrocketed, and none of the families could sue the nursing home. None of them for negligence. None of them can sue the hospitals for negligence. Because good old Cuomo set it up under the table. He set it up under the table. You know what I'm saying? I hope that we can see the updates on that. It's hard. You've got to dig for it because mainstream media buried this story. Heavy. They talked about it for one day. Gone. I think even there was a point where YouTube was like cutting videos, demonetizing people who were talking about it at one point. Oh my Lord. Now they're not, but oh my gosh, talk about censorship. You would think, right? The news is going to be that you could trust something. Nah, my guy. So that's still going on. Those investigations are really opening up. But nobody's talking about it. Cuomo certainly isn't. He's not going to address it. So what do y'all think about that? Is there anybody out there who's been affected by it? You know, losing their loved one in a nursing home, and y'all can't take any kind of legal action? Your otherwise healthy loved one? Because that's wild. Can't imagine what you might be going through with something like that. You know, you can't get justice. You know, you can't get remedy in the midst of the injustice. You can't right it. You can't right the wrong to the best of your ability because you can't bring your loved one back. But then also you can't try to get at the evildoers, you know? It's sad. All right, moving on. Don't forget to sound off, y'all. Remember, at Social Millennial Pod on Facebook and Instagram. That's one N. Email us, thesocialmillennialpodcast@gmail.com. Review us, like, subscribe, hit the little notification bell. Remember, we are also on YouTube for those of you listening, so you can see my pretty face and enjoy the background of the studio. And, you know, maybe this is how you want to connect. You want to see somebody. Those who are on the YouTube and watching my pretty face and my little antics right here, we also have it in audio format, audio only. So check it out. Links are in the description, as always. Now, we are not done. I'm just reminding y'all. We got merch. So please, link in the description. Hit that merch. Keep us going. Like, subscribe, hit the algorithm. It really helps us, whether you're going to hit us with with a merch buy, a merch drop, or just like the video. Like the episode. That goes a long way. Super long way. But now we're going to go into some positive. Puerto Rico, mi gente. Listen. I was hyped. When I found out. Because I'm not quite, it's the Olympics, by the way. I'm not quite plugged into the Olympics this cycle the way that I was in past cycles. I'm usually plugged in to the Olympics, to the Olympic Games. They've been doing some weird, funky things with how they're airing it and putting some stuff on Peacock and streaming, and then you can't even really share it because then you get like on YouTube, because then you get a copyright strike, you get a takedown notice and loss. Like they're playing funny games with this, and the Olympics is supposed to be for everybody. Like you drop it on network television, that was the tradition. Now certain events they're putting it behind a paywall. Like, what are you talking about? Why would you do this? NBC or CBS or whomever, I think it's NBC. Why would you do this? What in the world? So they've been complaining that they haven't had the viewership that they've had in past cycles. This contributes to it. So many people that I know, so many people that I've seen in these in articles and things complain like I don't know where to watch this stuff. I want to see it, but it's becoming a hurdle to have to jump over to try to find my event and where they're going to be showing it and at what time. And, you know, NBC wants to complain about the time zone. You know, they want to show things live, but, you know, it's in Tokyo. I mean, do what you got to do. Just make sure it's clear when things are showing or when things are re-airing because they're previously recorded because of the time difference. Like, come on, man. Anyway, so I'm finding out a lot of stuff, a lot of Olympic news after the fact because it's just become too much of a chore for me to have to jump through every other left, right, up, down hurdle, and for some events have to pay a premium on Peacock to be able to see it. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to see the news when it happens, when they broadcast. I mean, when the articles come out and I can see the stats and what happened. And then maybe go try to find the highlight on YouTube after the fact, which even then, let me tell you, I've been trying to find like the entirety of finals and it's an arm and a leg. I wanted to see the skateboarding finals because skateboarder at heart. You feel me? The BX, you know what it is. I was trying to find like the final in its entirety in terms of like a re-air, like a rebroadcast, try to just find all of it on YouTube, find it somewhere easy, because this is network television stuff. This is free stuff. And I can't. They give me highlights. They say, oh, the whole finals, like from the official NBC or whatever, official Olympics, they give me highlights. Like I want to see the whole heat. I want to see why people won. Jesus. Now, if maybe I'm not plugged in to where to find these things, please sound off in the comments. Please email us. Please let me know on socials. Where can I find it? Send me a link, because I want to find the entirety of finals events, and I can't. Or it's difficult because they just give me highlights. So, super big news, mi gente de Puerto Rico. These are the hurdles, track and field. I love it. According to NBC News, Puerto Rico celebrates Olympic gold with they say Camacho-Quinn. I want her full name. Jasmine Camacho-Quinn. She won Puerto Rico's first gold medal in track. And it's only Puerto Rico's second gold medal in history. In the history of the Olympics. Which is wild. Wild. But we out here. We're out here, gang, made the stamp, and I really liked it too because Miss Camacho-Quinn is un Afro-Latina. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I mean, I saw these articles, I was like, yeah, because, I'm seeing it after the fact. So I'm like, yes, finally. And then when you see, so I saw the highlight, man, she was so far ahead of everybody. It was not a joke. They weren't touching her. It was on some Usain Bolt status over these hurdles. Like, what? And she beat, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, American world record holder from the last Summer Games. She was racing in that same race, in that same final, and she beat her. It's like, yes. Yes, Puerto Rico. And so, yeah, so I was super hyped. So to all my Puerto Ricans out there, do what y'all got to do. You feel me? You feel me? Do what y'all got to do. We out here, mi gente. Tiny little island of Puerto Rico is out here winning gold medals. So very good news, very positive stuff, very uplifting stuff. And also I want to shout out, there's so many to shout out, but also I want to shout out Miss Tamyra Mensah-Stock for winning women's freestyle wrestling. The women's freestyle wrestling final, what was the weight class? 68 kilogram. 68 kilo. It was, what was wild was that the final came down to two women of color, two black women. From Nigeria, it was Blessing. I'm going to try to pronounce his name. Blessing Oborodudu of Nigeria. Two black women vying for Olympic gold. What? So like whichever one won, it would be the first black woman to ever win women's wrestling. Like for real. Olympics now. Yeah, the first black woman to win Olympic wrestling gold, not just for the US, but in the entire world, as reported by USA Today. So shout out Miss Tamyra Mensah-Stock. What did y'all think? What do y'all think of the Olympics? What do y'all think about how the Olympics is being presented this year in the midst of COVID? Because, fun fact, Japan, they were set up to have spectators at the Olympic Games in Tokyo. And it was only like, 3 weeks before that they said, oh no, after being pressured, that they were like, okay, no, we're not going to have spectators. So what do y'all think in this era of COVID is stinging here? What do y'all think? Yeah, because this is interesting. It's interesting how this is all going down. They tried to set everything up in the Olympic Village so that people wouldn't have super contact like that unless they have to. How are y'all? Are y'all watching the Olympics this year, or are y'all skipping it? let me know in the comments. What's your favorite event? What events did y'all catch? What inspired y'all? You feel me? What brought y'all hope? Because part of that sort of Olympic ethos is bringing hope. We're coming together. We're showing the best of the best from every country that's allowed to participate. And, it's bringing us pride that we're there and represented. Now that we've got so much representation. First black woman coming from the United States. First black woman to win Olympic gold. Women's wrestling, 68 kilos. We've got a Afro-Latina out of Puerto Rico winning Olympic gold. 100 meter, I believe it was the 100 meter hurdles. How does that make y'all feel? It makes me feel hype. Super hype. So sound off, y'all. Sound off. Remember, at Social Millennial Pod, IG, Facebook. Review. You can review us on Facebook too, so don't forget about that. Review us. We're available anywhere you get your podcasts. Most outlets we're available if you're listening. And if you want to watch, we're on YouTube. The Social Millennial Podcast. 1N. Remember, 1N. Gotta make it different, Gotta hit the stilo. 1N. So y'all, stay strong. We're going through it. Now is not the time to be divided. We're all human. We're all people. We all make mistakes. We all sometimes pass judgment on things a little too prematurely. Sometimes we're too harsh. I'm going through it. You're going through it. Blessings to those who made it, who got COVID, survived. My condolences to those whose family members didn't make it. We'll get out of this. We will soldier on. But you've got to play your part. We've got to be in this together. We've got to keep things going. Keep trudging through. So much of our culture is being hijacked. So much of our so many opportunities for us to unify are being marred by politics and tribalism. Shirts versus skins, us versus them. We need to maybe tone that down. Yeah, we may all have differences of opinion. We may all have different stances, different perspectives on looking at a certain situation, and maybe different solutions that come from that. But we're all human. We're all people. We've all got to live here. We've all got to live here together. We can't go to Mars. We can't go to the moon. Can't go to Jupiter. Let's make the best of it. One day at a time, one person at a time. That person starts with you inside. Remember that. So thank y'all for spending this time with us. Even if it was for 5 minutes, any little bit counts. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Just lending me your ear or your eyes and your ears. Maybe you're watching, for those of you watching on YouTube. Thank you so much. It means a lot. It goes a long way. If you want to support, like, subscribe, ring the notification bell on YouTube, like where applicable, share where applicable, review the podcast where applicable. It goes a long way. Drop a comment. Just shout us out. Yo, what's up? Caught the podcast. Questions. Sound off on what y'all think. We're all here. The Social Millennial Podcast at gmail.com. If you want to, if you don't want to do any of those things, or please do those things. But on top of that, if you want to contribute monetarily, we've got merch. Links are in the description where applicable, where available. If where you're being served this podcast does not allow you the full description, or is an abridged description, or you do not see the links in the description, head over to our social medias. Links are there at Social Millennial Pod. Head over to the socialmillennialpodcast.com if you want the links. Head over to YouTube, The Social Millennial Podcast, for the links as well. So please Sound off. Let us know that you love the thing. Or maybe you don't. We want to hear from you, all right? Thank y'all for this time. Be blessed. Be strong. We're going to make it. Have a great week and stay safe. Peace.